Hey, it's Shabes, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and the not-so-best anime YouTube videos to come out this week, from the 4th of October to the 12th of October. And first for the video that I thought it was not good. It's a Noralities video. I know people have trying to get her on her hot takes these days, but I think she is dipping her toes into that thing that kind of makes her content kind of annoying and what people don't like about her other videos that got her in previous hot water. Except this one's a little more caked in something that I don't think people will immediately hate click on or anything like that. Cardcaptor Sakura is a beautiful mess. And, clearly there's a problem with Cardcaptor Sakura, but it's still enduring in its own way, and it's a kind of a positive, happy little thumbnail. But I don't really get those sort of vibes from this video. She concludes at the end of this video she doesn't really even know she can recommend this show because of this issue. It's not even, like, I guess she has other little compounding things, like small problems with it and stuff, but it really boils down to a single issue that I'll mention. But like, she doesn't even know if she can recommend it. She doesn't think you can recommend the manga because of this particular issue is so pronounced. And then she brings in the Cardcaptor's dub up for some reason, as if that's like a valid way to experience this show. Not like I'm completely, hoity-toity against these 4Kids cuts, of course. I just don't know if many people have access to this kind of cut. If you're going to watch Cardcaptor Sakura, you're probably going to see it on Crunchyroll, and that's the original anime. That's not very cut or anything like that. And I believe that one was redubbed and has a fully, like, there's no cuts kind of dub, and it's perfectly fine. She doesn't seem to know about that. She's like, oh, it got dubbed in the 2000s, Cardcaptors, and she talks all about it, and I appreciate that, a bit of history and stuff. I also obviously appreciated the insight with the franchise as a whole. Like, she's clearly experienced all of it, read the whole manga, grew up with it, actually, and that plays into a pretty significant chunk of her video, of where she's coming from with some of these points. Talks about Clear Card towards the end, but she doesn't make any. She makes one positive comment about it, but then doesn't really want to land anywhere on it because it's still ongoing. Fine, sure, I guess. I don't know if the anime is going to continue really at this point, but we'll see. But she doesn't. She mentions it. And the only mentions she brings up about the two movies is that, like, she recommends the second one to watch as on its own. Like, she's even hesitant on recommending you the TV anime, which I'll get to in a second, with why she doesn't. She's like, watch the second movie on its own, even though it's kind of at the end of the full story. And sure, I don't know. And then she's like, no, but I wouldn't the first movie. It's boring and doesn't add anything. All right, yeah, sure. I hate being this sort of dismissive. I understand. I've been dismissive about shows as well. Like, if I were to ever talk about Aim for the Ace as an entire entity, I'd go against talking about or recommending Shin Aim for the Ace, the new one from 1978, because it's not subbed, first of all. Like, if you really want, like, you can watch it raw, but it's not directed by design. I give all these little explanations of why you should maybe avoid it, but, like, I don't know. I just think that she's very dismissive about some of this. And again, doesn't even come across of, like, it's a problematic fave. Like, that's the level of which, like, oh my gosh, she has a problem with Cardcaptor Sakura. I'm sorry I have so much pretense of what this problem is. What could you possibly have a problem with? So that's the whole thing with Cardcaptor Sakura, that has this kind of outlook on love and how it doesn't really matter, and it can be, it kind of crosses all boundaries, I guess. And she loves that about it because there are bi characters and gay relationships, of course, and she's really into that and seeing that representation. She's passionate and cares a lot about that sort of thing. But unfortunately, in her mind, it extends to minor characters having relationships with older characters, which is a big red flag, right? And I mean, to me, she does later finally kind of, like, my whole, like, shock of and kind of weirdness of watching this video to me was, like, it's so interesting that she has the exact same averse reaction to this sort of relationship that's depicted in the manga and then a little bit in the anime, but not really. Which is why I had no idea about it, by the way. It doesn't really show up in the anime pretty much. Like, there's a shot. There's one shot that she keeps using 5 or 6 times. There doesn't seem to be any other evidence of it besides one cutaway. But she keeps using that evidence over and over and over. And it's like, is that the only evidence? I don't even remember that scene because B, it's a tertiary character or a quadrutionary character. Like, I don't even know who this character is. Maybe she's a little more important than the manga or something, or like she wasn't like this one of Sakura's friends or something. But she's not like, I've seen Car Captor Sakura. This is not like I'm sorry, I don't recall too many of the names. It's not like a favorite of mine, but like it's not like the Camera Girl or something, or like Sakura's immediate close friends. Like, I don't even recognize this character, and apparently she's secretly engaged to the teacher, which is kind of messed up. It is kind of messed up. And then also, of course, the thing with Sakura's parents, her dad was a teacher, and then he hooked up with her mom, who was one of his students. Like, she was 17 and he was 20, 30. Like, I don't care. Here's the thing with that I kind of like am really annoyed with, is that she blows these little issues up so much, and it makes this like, oh, I can't recommend this now because of this one thing. I don't even see it. I don't even see it as an issue. Obviously, it's kind of weird. But like, it's not going to detract. Like, it's the backstory of one of the. That's not even a focus of the show. If it was Koi Kaze, that's like about incest. Sure, have all the fucking qualms like dissected because it's on the forefront of the story. But Car Captor, that's not even the fucking forefront. It's like these background that like, and it doesn't even. And obviously, if she has a problem with it, fine, cool, fine. It's just like, I don't know, like blowing it up into this whole and making it out to be this beautiful mess, and also just completely dismissing a lot of the elements that I really liked about this. I liked the first half a lot more than the actual plot stuff, which she says to skip. She says, oh, all of this is filler, and the first half of the show is filler because there's only 13 canon Clo cards, but there's 52 or whatever in the anime. All of this you can skip. You should maybe only watch these 2 episodes. Like, get out. No. Not only do I like those episodes, first of all, on a pure entertainment, like, joy and watching Sakura do all this stuff, and like the animation and the actual joy of watching this fucking show. You're watching the show to have fun, right? I mean, first of all. But like, I don't know. I don't even know where I was going for the second of all. No, it's just advising people to skip anything kind of rubs me the wrong way. It actually rubs me a lot the wrong way. I can understand sort of bouncing around when it comes to filler and skipping filler to get to this stuff so you don't lose the momentum. I understand. I'm not trying to be like purist about filler. Skipping it altogether, I kind of have a bit of a about it because you're willingly. But this also goes into Noralities' like kind of philosophy about media, which is similar to Explanation Points, actually, of just the death of the author and kind of the logical stream of that. And she repeats it like twice in this video. I should probably have it quoted specifically, but she basically says that what is it? It's canon is sometimes bad, so it's best to ignore it sometimes. You know what I mean? And it's where's the end point to that? Explanation Point kind of has that video that I gave it not good to a while ago. He goes kind of crazy going down that rabbit hole. He actually shows you that inadvertently, of just like, oh, you could just skip episodes, you could just skip scenes, you can just do what reality can be whatever you want. You know what I mean? I'm not saying like you have to like. I don't know. It just, this video is just, to me, it just sort of blows this issue up, like really is it's the bulk of her video, really. But then marketing it in such a way of just like, it's still a great show, guy. But like, you're not even recommending it at the end. You're actually like struggling to know whether you recommend it or not because of this little issue of like, like the fact that it's just like we don't like reasons she can't talk about Clear Card is because apparently there's a character that Sakura is sort of like starting to have romantic feelings, I don't know, like some relationship with, and she doesn't want to say we don't know his canon age yet, we don't know the number, you know. I'm not trying to be like ages doesn't know. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. It's more of just like it putting such emphasis on it, and you're missing the forest for the trees, basically. To me, it's like you're completely disregarding, disengaging. You could say that you're not, but you are. You could say that, but like, no, but I like these designs. I custom drew four of Sakura in these different cool outfits that I like. I like aspects of the show. You can defend that as much as you, but it's like, where's the message that you're driving this video towards? What is something we need to be taking away from your video? And what we take away from your video is that maybe Cardcaptor Sakura didn't hold up very well, guys, and we should probably distance ourselves. Like, that's what I took from your video. Not that this, like, it's a great show, warts and all, which is kind of what the title and thumbnail kind of cakes it as, which is already kind of insulting to people who still love Cardcaptor Sakura, by the way. Not even that I'm one of those people. I actually did not really enjoy Cardcaptor Sakura for the second half of it, which was actually canon. Right? I just didn't like this, where the story was going. It was taking itself too seriously. I don't know. But like, I like the episodic adventures, the really imaginative Clo cards, the interactions with the characters. The characters are so nice and sweet, and like the interactions are great. That's what I liked about it, you know. And you can take kind of whatever you want out of that, right? But like, and so I'm okay with you having problematic elements and this becoming a problematic fave, perhaps. I just didn't like the framing of this video and the where this went. And again, you're not Sarah Zed. I'm sorry, like. I don't get that from a Sarah Zed video or a Lindsay Ellis video or a Jenny Nicholson video where there's just contempt. There's just something about the way you're framing these issues and bringing them up and citing these sources and doing the way you make these videos. There's something agitating about it. Whereas I don't get that. I take it like Sarah Zed's video, for example, about like Homestuck. Obviously she has experienced it, and or talking about her various things on Tumblr or whatever. She talks about it as being there back in the day, and it's, you know, and as a witness, but as a witness, and not just as like, I don't know what it is. I can't tell you what you're doing wrong, in particular, of like that right there. There's just something about it. It's like the also just like some of the images you choose for representing yourself, right? Because you're representing yourself illustratively, and that's great and that's awesome, but there's one face that your character makes that's like this. Not liking it. And look, you could say something about how I don't know what you could say about it. I'm sure you're going to read into this if you ever watch. I don't even think you will, because it's sort of like you seem pretty detached from the rest of the community, understandably so. But it just said there's something not great. You know, it doesn't sell me. It doesn't lead me into your argument that I'm like, oh, you're right, or oh, I agree with that. It's sort of antagonistic. There's something about it that's antagonistic about it, and I can't point that in the same way unless there's proper context behind it, where if it's personal, perhaps, or really trying to stick it to something. Right? But you're going out of your way specifically to talk about Cardcaptor Sakura and talking about these magical girl series in that way. I don't know. I can't tell you what this, you know what I mean? Yeah, I couldn't buy into this. The video kind of was really frustrating, and it didn't finish. Like, it kept going. Like, you had made your point, and then it kept going for another, it felt like it kept going for another 3 minutes. That you were repeating yourself, and it just didn't feel like it ended. And it was like, God, stop. That was another really unfortunate, like, it was getting irritable at the end of it, towards the end of it. And again, I'm fine with you having these opinions about Cardcaptor Sakura, but it just, the framing of it, and, you know, it's sort of like, it's always a matter of how you pitch it when it comes to someone's opinion. You especially have to be careful about these sorts of things. If it's a beloved franchise that you're taking shots at. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a fan of Cardcaptor Sakura in the same way, But if you're gonna go for this, you have to really, I don't know. I feel like you have to take a better tact with this, and coming from a place of like understanding and stuff. I certainly had troubles with this when I was trying to make my loop on video, where I'm talking about watching all of it and regretting doing so, and it's an inherently negative presentation, title and thumbnail wise, of loop on. But I really then have to fight and convince in such a way that like I actually do like this show, this franchise, enough to go through the effort of watching all of them and to make a video communicating my thoughts. You know what I mean? You have to kind of come from that. I don't know if you did quite enough. You do have like a good and a bad and collective, a whole thing. You do try that. Just wasn't enough, especially for the amount that you bring forward as the bad, which is really, to me, it seems that it boiled down to, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, because I can't let this fucking thing go. I can't believe that the only thing was this minor tertiary character's relationship that wasn't even shown in the anime. The fact that the anime is half filler, apparently. It seems that you just have a problematic attachment to the manga. If you didn't know the manga existed, how much of these issues would you really have? I'm curious. It's interesting. I don't know. Yeah, I don't get. Yeah, anyway. I don't know if it made any sense or if maybe I said the wrong thing. I don't know. Congratulations on almost getting 100K. You're getting there. Looking forward to the next stuff that you got. Oof. Haven't done one of those in a while. Anyway, now for one of the videos I thought were decent. Yeah, pretty good. I want to give a quick shout out to this 5-hour live stream that Pause and Select did. Macadamia CFP watching and reacting to AniTube videos. To be fair, I only watched my segment where him, Cineclinic, Jaden, and Gil Eyes here talked amongst themselves about various YouTube videos and talking about the craft and things that they like seeing in videos, and in much more technical terms and in the process of watching it, and not as much engaging with the content of like what are they saying basically. But it's sort of like the making of it, which I think is always really great. And something I would hope that I can portray here in Digest, but I end up not scripting it, or I'm not watching it as I'm going, and I'm not just giving my random thoughts. It's always after the fact, so it doesn't always have that. But I always really enjoy it. And of course, like Joe and Jaden and Gil are always really funny guys and really have great commentary, and it's really fun. And again, very constructive and thoughtful and interesting. I'd probably listen to the whole thing if this didn't air last night. I think last night or the night before. It was very. I feel like it was recent. Maybe it was last. I don't know. Forget it. But also just like that. I haven't watched it. It's like I'm a day late on Digest. I should have explained that. It was because I was too busy yesterday. The whole day was gone. I'm sorry. Anyway, I should probably. But anyway, yeah. In case you are good with listening to my voice, if you want 5 hours of these cool cats, I highly recommend it, because I'm certainly going to do that at some point. Maybe not, but at some point. There's a song from Flip Down Yonder. Zen Huxtable had this song Cats Meow, and I wanted to mention, usually I don't like try to have repetitive things or small things, and there's always something that Philip's uploading that like I always think is cool or interesting. It's always a joy hearing his stuff, but this is like a full long song, and he's obviously in songs before, but there always a lot of them have been instrumental or just kind of something else, but this has like full lyrics, and it feels like a whole composed song, I guess. But there's just something I wanted to mention it because it's just like it's so uniquely structured, and I think if you follow his channel and you know about these like sick licks and the videos he does where he's like appreciating various little aspects of various songs and music and things like that, the knowledge that he has and his perspective and applying it to this sort of song. Not like he's directly applying some of these things or sampling them outright, but you can tell he's very educated in this, and so he's producing something that's really interesting. It's multi-phased. It doesn't repeat itself that much. It doesn't seem, at least. It feels very kind of weird and experimental. It has lyrics and kind of this vocal track. And somebody was like, what'd you use to sample for this? And he's like, I don't know, the Pokeball noise. But that's it. And they're like, wait, with the vocals. And he's like, I literally worked with a friend and we recorded it. It's it was just really interesting. But I think it came as a shock to probably to that viewer and to myself. I was also sort of thinking those things because he's just never done something like this before. So I just thought there was something interesting to kind of bring up and mention. I just really enjoyed it. It's one song, so it's like, I don't know. But it was really cool and I really liked it. Zettai Japan, formerly Japanophile, and the King of Eroguro, a look at Suehiro Maruo. This is the author of Midori, the author of Midori. That's right. Midori, which is a great anime, by the way. Holy shit. We shouldn't be able to watch this technically, but whatever. The author of the manga that anime is based on, he does mention it and talk about it a little bit, but for the most part it's about this particular author's work, and I really liked the analysis here, and it's more of a kind of an overview of his works and introducing into his other stories and what they're about, and like I really like the focus on Paradise Island, where he's like, well, if you don't like the gore too much, this actually has not as much gore, but still has a lot of aspects that make his manga so interesting and special. I really like the citing and various things and the quotes that he was pulling from there. But very brass tack. I don't know, nuts and bolts. I don't know. But the craft of this video is very workmanlike, and like, here's the Oroguro and experiencing this author I've certainly never heard of. It's because I'm not a manga guy. I mean, maybe this is like a obvious. I have seen his work before. Like, you look at this thumbnail, like I think I've seen something like that before. But it really gets it's very educational in that way. And so I just really like this video. I think I guess there's more of this coming out for Horror Month, so that's great. You should subscribe to Zettai Japan for more content like that he's putting out this month and support that. But yeah, no, I really liked this video. It was really, really nice, really interesting. I'm sorry, I don't have too much of concrete things to say, but like, I don't know. I've never heard of it. I actually did not know that Midori was based on a manga. To be honest with you, I actually had no idea. But it's like apparently like a very faithful recreation. But yeah, I just really liked how holistic this was and interesting. Yeah, this was great. Mother's Basement, back at it again with another kaiji-ish video. Like, I don't know if he's made a dedicated kaiji video. It's always just been like, kaiji exists too, with this other media that's more popular that will get the clicks. There's already a Squid Game anime. I'm happy he's making something like this. Obviously is something he would make, and has a big enough platform, and I don't know. Of course, right? And I've not seen Squid Game yet because it's like, I haven't seen. I don't really have much of Netflix or anything. I don't know. It's not on my radar. But I did hear how the author was inspired by Liar Game as well as kaiji and some other things. But I didn't know that he just has a scene where they're walking across a balance beam in front of rich people, literally from kaiji. I'm like, you kidding? And also like the device of the main character going into the games, surviving, and then leaving the like being out of the games, but then going back in because he can't resist. That aspect, which is also very interesting in kaiji, is in Squid. I was like, oh my gosh, really? I don't know. It's just really great to hear as a kaiji fan. By the way, Jeff, read the manga if you want more kaiji. He's just like, it's an addictive kind of show, and then when you're at the end of it, you really want something more of it, which I think is very true. But then it's like, yeah, read the manga then, because there's like, I think at this, it's like at least twice as much content that hasn't been adapted into anime than is in the anime. I definitely should check it out, especially the One Poker arc, which is the fifth arc, and it was part 1 kaiji, which is season 1, season 2 is part 2, and then there's part 3, 4, and then part 5 is One Poker, and it's literally the best. Anyone who's read it knows it's like one of the best shit ever. Oh my god, I want to read that right now. And I want to make a video about it, honestly. Like, I made a Tonigawa video and it features one poker, but like actually talk about it and like reread and do some actual textual analysis that makes it fucking incredible. Maybe. No, I shouldn't promise that though. No, but this is good. It worked again, a very workmanlike, like just kind of like, yeah, I saw Squid Game, and this is as a kaiji, someone who's seen kaiji, and I like the conclusion is like, Squid Game does its thing. The kaiji does it better. Like he ends on a kite on something that's like blank blank, but kaiji does it better. But blank blank, which kaiji also does better, or something like that. And it's I'm Jeff Thu signing out from Watch Kaiji, damn it, which is I'm very happy about that. That he's such a cheerleader for this show that is still not too well known. I'm happy it has gotten more prevalence. I mean, since I watched it, it's gotten a physical release here. The manga's out here. It's awesome. I'm just like really surprised. I'm just like really happy about that. We're hoping more Fukumoto. Obviously, fans are never satiated, right? Like now give us the rest of the Fukumoto stuff, right? But this is still awesome. This is still great to see that that these various that Kaiji's actually getting stuff now. Anyway, yeah, no, I did enjoy this video, and at least on a pure curiosity sense. If you've seen Kaiji but haven't seen Squid Game, I think this is really interesting. Like, oh my god, wait, that's how close it is to Kaiji? Because people were like, yeah, it's Kaiji. But I was like, yeah, of course. But I'm like, no, actually. Although I also did appreciate his, Jeff really laying out the kind of differences that Kaiji has and Squid Game has aesthetically, and I think Squid Game does it a little better aesthetically because it's more just dynamic. But I suspect that those aspects are something that the author pulled from his other influences, either Liar Game, which I have no experience with. I haven't seen any videos about it. I've heard of it. That's it. And probably also Alice in Borderlands, which I have heard of only because I've seen some people reading it, probably in response to Squid Game or something. And people were posting some images of it. I'm like, oh yeah, this does seem very, a lot more whimsical, and more like, wow, like kind of they're on an island or something, like, kind of the more fantastical elements of Squid Game might be present in these other works, whereas Kaiji is a lot more grounded, to an extent. Yeah. Anyway, I just thought it was a really cool video. It was interesting. I say that at the end of every video. I don't know why I don't know how to end these videos. God damn it. Okay, I moved my standing desk to be a little taller because I found myself... There's a thing with some digests where, like, I put the bar here and it covers my mouth, and I always get self-conscious because now I want to, like, have my head more the top half of the screen. But I realized just now the whole time I've been on my tippy toes. Anyway, the little metatextual thing. So I later in the... Obviously, I'm going to talk about the Star Wars Vision anthology that we did this week. But in doing that, I followed Bonsai Pop on Twitter, and I saw that they tweeted out that they have another episode of their Bonsai Pop in the Closet cast, which is a different channel, which is cool. I appreciate, I wouldn't appreciate it on the main channel. I understand why it wouldn't go on the main channel, because they're very sensitive about SEO, and they know their shit, as demonstrated by this podcast. But I wanted to talk about it because, I wasn't going to talk about it. And I saw that the thumbnail had like visions on it. I'm like, maybe he talked about the anthology, and he does. And I was interested in hearing his perspective, and talks a little bit about Digest as well. And they were mentioning how, like, they would want the podcast to have feedback. And so I was like, all right, I'll give feedback, because I skipped to where they were talking about, because I was curious. And then when they said it was like, we want feedback, I was like, all right, I'll go mow the lawn. Well, like, I've had to mow the lawn for a week or two. I'm sorry, guys. But I did now. I mowed the front and the back as I listened to this podcast, which I appreciate. And listened to pretty much the whole rest of it. For feedback. Purely for feedback. No. They're really great. Mike and Tyler are together and talking about this. And, I think I've definitely addressed Bonsai Pop as one person, which was Mike as the voice of it. But he does mention in the videos where it's him and Tyler working together on this channel. But this was definitely obviously very palpable because Tyler's actually talking, and so it was the first time I was hearing from him. And I don't know what to say. How do you? He was great. I think as a podcast, you guys have obviously been friends for years, and to the point where you're able to really banter with each other and listen to each other and have this camaraderie. It's very similar to, it reminds me of the podcast that my roommates run, that we've been friends for a long time. I'm not in that podcast. I'm just here. But they've been running it for 4 years now, but they were friends for a few years before that. And, a lot of the strength of that podcast is that they're really close friends and they're able to banter and kind of bounce off each other in a really easy to listen to, ergonomic friendly kind of way. So I really think that dynamic is great and that really works. And I can understand why, the podcast is kind of prolific in terms of your Patreon, and you're able to do it so often because it's just kind of what you talk normally, right? When you're talking about videos or something, and you're just kind of letting your patrons in on that process. And I appreciate you putting out a public example of one of them, just as, as a taste, it's like, this is kind of the stuff that you can get, which is great. I will say that you frame yourself as an anime video game podcast, and I obviously think it's because you have dedicated sections of what anime have you been watching, what video games have you been watching. But I do notice that you talk about all sorts of things, and especially before the anime video game stuff, that first chunk, I didn't listen to the beginning because, again, I skipped to find it. But like that first chunk, it seems kind of a little more amorphous and kind of talking about whatever. And for one thing, you're talking about a lot of political stuff. Like you mention various crimes that have happened recently, and this person, like a police officer shot somebody in the back and paralyzed them, and he just went off for self-defense, and you're kind of venting about how unfair that is and stuff like that. And that's just so not what you hear in a kind of podcast like this, unless it's deliberately a news type podcast or something like, people go to that and escapist for other things else. But I like that you guys aren't really afraid to, and that obviously applies to your channel too. Like, I knew that you guys are these kind of guys who really care about these real world political issues and systemic cultural issues as well, like talking about the abortion law and like, women have the right, to choose and everything. And I think that's awesome that you speak out on those things. It's really commendable. And, sticking your neck out, like, not just for people who disagree with you, but for people who don't really want to hear those sorts of things in their video game podcast, in their anime video game podcast. You know what I mean? It is kind of uncomfortable and like tough to listen to type of thing, unless you're going to that sort of expecting it. But you still put that forward, and I just thought that was really interesting. Challenging, but interesting. I did appreciate the feedback with Visions and talking briefly about it. Although you lost you tangented off after a little bit. I didn't get like I appreciate you mentioning the video on my main channel. It's this is my side channel actually, guys. I know I'm more active on this one because I post every week and I don't post every week on that other one, but that was my main channel. And they're like, you should do this more often. I'm like, yeah, I should. God damn it. And no, that's okay. I get it. But yeah, anyway, that was just funny. But I also really liked, what was it? You really were candid about the channel stuff and talking about sponsorships, and you wrote your rejection letter of like, sorry, Raid Shadow Legends, I will not be accepting your offer of $5,000. Like, you say the whole amount. Like, you were really going to brass tacks about these things and explaining how these stuff work, because obviously I have no idea. I'm a smaller channel in the grand scheme of things, so of course I don't know about sponsorships. I've heard about them, but like, I actually didn't know that there are some sponsorships where you're not working directly with the company. You would assume that that's the case, but in reality, you're working with a subsidiary. I had no idea about that. I thought that was really interesting, and just being candid about those sorts of things and talking about YouTube and doing the things you guys do is just really fascinating, and I was happy with that. I think you guys work great off the cuff and off script, even though it does tangent off and you lose the, trail. Don't finish a thought in some places here and there. Well, that's not a big deal. I'm way worse. I have a patron podcast as well. I talk to various anime YouTubers, like a different one every month, And that one doesn't have, that's intentionally kind of Joe Rogan-esque, which is more, it's not question based or formed. It doesn't have a structure at all. It's sort of just like, I want to talk to these people for in voice chat for a few hours kind of deal. But yeah, though, I really liked this this podcast, and it was a good listen. And would I go like become a patron for it? Maybe. I hate to say no, right? Like I don't support any patrons right now, which is kind of nah. I don't know. I feel weird about it personally, where like, I have a Patreon, but I'm not supporting any other people with patrons. I should, but anyway, I don't know. I feel weird about it. Anyway, it's a side thing. But like, I think to the layman, especially people who really like your guys' content and want to hear from Tyler as well, it sounds like you care way more about your community than a lot of people do. You really foster it in a genuine, meticulous kind of way. I don't know if meticulous is the right word for it, but like very open about it too. Really like laying it in as like we're kind of a family sort of thing, which is great. Anyway, I was just talking about that sort of thing. Anyway, I enjoyed the podcast. That would be my feedback. I don't know how constructive it is. It's like, I don't know. The things with podcasts is I'm not going to call myself a podcast connoisseur the way I'm not a video. I don't want to say that either. But like, I obviously watch more videos than I do podcasts. So like, I would talk more about. I feel more comfortable talking about videos than I do podcasts. It's hard for me to really pinpoint. As a podcaster myself, I don't have that kind of feedback, I don't think. But, at least this is sort of interesting and helpful. Yeah. Good, yeah. Again, I told you, I don't know how to end these segments anymore. Alrighty then, let's go for what I thought were the best videos of the week. What is what I thought were the best videos of the week? And the first one's from Ygg Studio. I really liked this Anime Alphabet installment for D is for Digimon from Trixie. I just liked a lot of the personal things that Trixie was bringing with when she was a kid, and like growing up on Pokemon and her experience with Digimon initially, and what convinced her to give it a try and stuff, and being candid and honest about like, the designs are not my favorite, or it wasn't working for me in places, though some designs are strong enough in other places. I also think the art direction is way better than I think you give it credit for. I don't know if not like Trixie disses on it or anything, but like that's something of note that to me I always was really admirable about Adventure in particular. Not so much the other ones, but Adventure was like, oh my gosh, the backgrounds. No, and yeah, I just wanted to use this to kind of talk about the series so far. I haven't seen the Cardcaptor Sakura entry just yet, but I did see Sailor Moon, and I think I talked about Attack Number 1. I probably did. But I've been really liking these series because it just sort of gives your audience more of your talking, more of your the way you talk about anime. There's an intangible quality, I think, where there's just something. It's a nice mix of learning about the anime itself and the creation of it and the staff without really databasing you in the same way, but really talking about the experience and going through it in that way. The synopsis type of thing, the kind of the way you're structuring these videos, I understand the necessity for it. I think some people might not be as whelmed about it because it's not like, because I think some people might think we've moved past the plot synopsis type of thing, especially when you're talking about the whole show and actually like talk about the end of the show and like spoilers and things like that. But it's weird. It's kind of just a free form analysis. It's hard to say because this isn't a review, but it feels like a review. It isn't a summary, but it is a summary. I don't know. There's just ways that you're weaving in a lot of these things, especially working with Digimon as a whole franchise, where you're talking with like a little bit of Try, a little bit of the Host of the Short, a little bit of War Game, a little bit here and there, but mainly focusing on Adventure, right? And the specifics of that. And little bits and pieces, like spending 1 or 2 minutes on certain ideas and points with moving on to the next one. There's just something about it that just feels very like simple and easy, but also just something that is, again, I'm just happy to have more of your anime content because I'm just happy that you still enjoy making it. And I also think this is also great because it's not something that you're pushing yourself. You're not really like, it's a big project. I feel like Trixie's similar to me, where like she's made in the past, she's had these huge ideas and multi-phase and like kind of these thinking big term, big idea. And I'm certainly in the same camp with some of my own content. I can't help but think that. To me, I'm going with right now. I'm doing this idea with the anime encyclopedia, and I'm doing it by streams, and I'm kind of playing with that idea. But like, I think going with this piece by piece, and also finding ways to branch out and kind of make more analysis based on the success of certain content and what the audience wants to see, I think is fantastic. It's like, it's genius. The idea of like watching more Sailor Moon after you get a certain threshold of attention, if you want me to talk more about Sailor Moon, blah, 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 and letting the audience decide rather than you feeling the need, if you're going to talk about Sailor Moon, you have to talk about all of it, right? Or if you have to talk about Digimon, you have to talk about all of it, you know? Using these as stemming points and branching, I think it's just great, and a way to pace yourself out without really burning yourself out, and based on the success of your videos. Speaking of your videos, I wanted to mention here, I noticed, and I don't know if anyone else noticed, maybe they did, because I did see one video in my recommended feed. I didn't remember which exact video it was, but if you guys check out the Ygg Studio channel, it's different. It has a lot of Trixie's older videos. Not all of them, obviously, because you can scroll all the way down and you notice that like one of the first videos is sort of online analytical diatribe, and there's one of her old pony videos, but like there's a lot of her content back. It's not just like very slim pickings like it used to be. I don't think all of it's back, but a good amount of it is, and it's also a lot of different some of the thumbnails are the same. I don't know. I wouldn't say that like all her videos are back, of course, but like a lot of them are, which is awesome to see. I was just happy to see that. I just want to find. Let me see if the what was the one I was thinking was like? Is it here? The LOGH video. I wanted to see if the character designs or something. Maybe again, it's probably a different thumbnail. I don't know if it is. I don't know if it's here. I'm just looking. I'm sorry if I'm in the middle of live, but I think it's really exciting. I just think it's really great to see. No, I don't think it's here. So I don't think all of it. Yeah, and I'm looking at the Dear Crunchyroll stop and problem with anime subtitles and some of these. Like a lot of the Miyamafa stuff is gone. And like fair. Yeah, but like, yeah, I don't know. I just think it was really oh, is the erased video still here? I don't know. I just like to kind of deep dive in your backlog. Asterisk War and everything. I'm happy that did well. I'm happy that's back up to like 308,000. That's awesome. Yeah, and still some of the Void Gazer stuff, which is pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, I'm just really excited. I also did see some of your shorts. That was pretty neat. I'm happy to see you're experimenting with that too. I don't know. I just think that people are just like talking about Ygg Studio in the past tense. I think is a little not yet, fellas. You know, and like I get the arc, this phase has been not again. I don't want to call it. I shouldn't call it. Obviously it's a new era, right? It's a new arc in the same way. Now that the arc has an end, you know, but like I don't know. I've the new direction is really interesting, and I think it's constantly exciting, which is something I've always really admired and respected about your content. Is there's always something interesting to look forward to, and not something like, oh, they put out a video, cool. It's there's an ethos, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's not the same, obviously. I think people can have their opinions about it one way or the other, but yeah, I'm sorry. This is more about like Trixie's content in general, and not as much this video. But I don't know. I just really like the direction this is going, and I'm pretty sure I'll probably be talking about E or L. I don't know. Again, with series on Digest and stuff, I try not to talk about every entry in a particular series or something like that, especially even if it's ones that I like this one. I love this idea. I don't know if I'll be talking about the E or F or whichever ones that is next. Although, of course, it is always really fun. You know what I at least do? I do like save the video for later. But if I see a new one drop, I immediately go to the end of the video to find out what the next letter is, to find out what the next series is. And I think your selection is also really fascinating and exciting to me, to see you talk about these different titles and things like that. I don't know. I just really like this sort of stuff. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. the Canipa, right before I started recording, put out breaking down that time I got reincarnated as a slime's incredible animation spotlight video on slime. And of course, it could be like, oh no, another Canipa banger. And it wouldn't have had anything too different from his other content that I would have wanted to bring up on Digest. Usually I try to find something that's like, this is something new, that's like, oh, something in particular of note with this. And the thing I found with this Canipa video is, it obviously he talks about stuff that he likes. He wouldn't be like, sometimes obviously something doesn't like or whatever. But it's always felt like a lot of his videos in the past while, it's always been from a very objective standpoint, where he's really talking about like the efficacy of these choices in this style, or the history of this sort of thing, or being more informative in that way. But this one, it just felt sort of different in a way that it felt a lot more about like, oh, I love this show. I love when it does this and this. I was noticing this thing and this thing, but it still obviously has that Canipa polish of like understanding the brass tacks of the people making it and the studio's philosophy and the quotes and it backing it all up very substantively, but has this era of like, this is great, and none of that stuff was completely devoid of that, or they were joyless or something like that. Like, obviously he cared, but I don't know, it was like he was bringing himself forward a little bit more in this video that I thought for his other videos, which was just notable and kind of interesting. I just really liked it. I was just like, yeah, like that's great. I liked it. Now, before I talk about visions, I really wanted to talk about JumpTheShark's Evangelion and the Death of Anime. Look, man, I wasn't really enthused about clicking this video. This bait did not, the branding did not work for me, because Evangelion's been talked about a lot, and when you say it's in the death of anime, it just seems kind of pessimistic, or just something about it. It's just, I don't like the title, and the thumbnail, like, it just sort of, I don't know. And it's an hour. It's an hour-long video. The initial branding of this it was similar to like Why Kirito is Good video, which was also fantastic, by the way. And this is really fantastic. I think it's way more than meets the eye, because he doesn't go into the Ano as a blah blah blah. Like he does talk with Ano as the framework, but he's kind of talking about the creative staff as a whole when he's mentioning Ano in particular. At least it seems to me. But don't worry, guys. He's read the Anime Machine. And quotes the Anime Machine very specifically and like interestingly, so you can be silent like this. I'm like, it seems like one of those every other Ava videos, right? But this one really has a great head on its shoulders. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. I'm sorry. No. So I just really like that he referenced old anime. It kind of just boils down to that. He's not just talking about about mecha anime in an amorphous way. He really is talking about Nagahama's trilogy and what it was bringing to the table before Gundam, and then what Gundam brings in that sort of sense. But really focusing on and I just loved these observations. I fucking loved them. Most every single point. I think towards the end there was like, I was sort of not really getting, like, I'm kind of stupid. I'll let it, like, I couldn't quite follow the flow of the script all that well, although it is very ornate and kind of like not unnecessary. It's like pause and selects videos where there's sometimes where he's talking about something and I'm like, that sounds interesting. It just happens, right? But it was interesting. It actually was reminding me of Stevem a lot, like his Stevem's delivery of these sorts of things, and talking very kind of calmly and citing a lot of stuff. Yeah, that's how I describe Stevem's work. Calmly and cites a lot of stuff. No, I don't know. It reminded me of what Stevem might have made. I think you should check this video out, Steve, in terms of like Ano's perspective and his influences and stuff. It's not like JumpTheShark is like doing the really typical influences of Ano either, because he didn't mention Jerry Anderson. I think that's his name. UFO. He didn't mention Ultraman or any of the tokusatsu stuff. He's mainly talking about anime, but he does mention a bit of Mobile Suit Gundam and Ideon, the Nagahama trilogy, which was really valuable and additive, and like the one visual reference you show where it's like, oh, there's little visual parallels of like, I think it was Combat Lair V. I haven't seen any of the trilogy yet. I've actually worked on them for Discotech, which is, it's like, I've worked on these titles, but I haven't seen them. It's okay. I swear it's okay. No, what was I gonna say? Yeah, so like there's a scene with like, you know, Shinji first seeing Eva Unit 1, and it's like right in front of his, he just sees the face and he's like, ah, you know? It's similar to this shot in Combat Lair V. I actually had no idea this shot happened because I haven't seen it. Where like they bring them into this room, and then the window pops up and it's just the face of the robot, and they're like, ah, it's the same. I was like, oh shit, that was really great and unique. That's a big thing with these fucking Eva videos, is that you look at this video and you're like, next. Like everyone's made this fucking video, but not really. No, I've not seen pretty much any of these points before, and I think they're really thoughtful. I really liked the idea of, it's obviously like people make this thing about Anno being a self-insert for Shinji, but I've never heard anyone pose the idea that Gendo is representing these father figures in Super Robot anime who are also scientists and kind of the, you know, the person, right? But he's also representing the captains in Nadia, Macros, and Yamato, which they all stem from, and the way that those sorts of things play in. But also at a metatextual level, how there's sort of a disapproval from the older generation of anime. So like Anno is Shinji and kind of experiencing this new thing with this new media, and there's a disapproval figure with the father figure, right? That's representing he doesn't outright say that Gendo is a parallel to Miyazaki or something like that, but he's alluding to that the older generation, the people who made these initial shows, they didn't grow up on this sort of stuff. It's sort of that addressal of the otaku generation and stuff. And he does cite Toshio Okada and this really great interview from Anno and stuff. I just think it's really well backed. I think it's really interesting. Talking about anime as a machine and talking about the anime machine and the difference between, I don't know the name of them, animatism and cameras. I don't remember the other one. I'm sorry. Again, I'm kind of stupid in some places, but like this was just really fascinating, and I think I really encourage people to check this out. My one thing about this video that I really wish this was better is the visual component. I just think, again, it's very similar to Zettai Japan or a lot of other, I think even Trixie's video is very similar to this. There's not a lot of spark. There's not a lot of oomph in the video component. It's not keeping your attention as a video. It is keeping attention to the point where it's showing you relevant clips. It's not like the Bonsai Popcast. I think this is not like a dig on the Bonsai Popcast, but it's just Dark Souls footage. It's not something like, it's not busy. It's not visuals that don't really show you anything, and it's or like my piracy vid. Not like piracy vid. Jaden called it my piracy vid. I was like, I mean, I guess that's what you call it. To shorthand. Sure. I can't really call it the physical media video or something. You should buy anime. I don't know. Damn it. No, I'm sorry. Well, personal woes. It's not like that where it's just keeping your thing busy. It's definitely doing the bare minimum where it's showing you clips of Yamato. It's showing you these I did like the visual consistency of using the waves to show off all of the different quotes and the various still images maybe you would show. It's not like bare bones editing, but it doesn't have sort of a flair or keeping your attention the same way Stevens might. Again, I felt like his delivery was similar to Stevens, but Stevens is just on a different level when it comes to presentation of those ideas, right? And again, it's hard to... I don't really want to make it so far. I'm happy Digest isn't so much about comparing one YouTuber to another too much. I just think I would encourage you looking more into that and sort of making an aesthetic experience on top of that, because I just think, if you choose good music, and I'm just sort of defending the way I would make my Gurren Lagann video in the same way. The reason we do these sorts of just because it looks cool, like a lot of these visual choices just for the sake of looking cool, it does in a little bit stick the idea in a person's head. You remember a little bit of what that person said on top of like what it was associated with. I just think there's a bit of a visual link and the information sticks a little easier. I do think there is something to be said about that when it comes to crafting a video per se. Again, not that it was a bad video on a video perspective. I think it does what it needs to do. But that's the thing. It kind of does what it needs to do, and it's not stepping up above the same way to where this idea can really permeate and I can really physically articulate to back. You know, it's one thing to watch a video, but it's another thing to take something away from it and learn something from it and communicate to someone else. You know what I mean? And permeate the idea and spreading that idea. Because I think the core, the analysis here is fantastic. I just think there could be better ways to do it, personally. Yeah. Anyway, again, I'm sorry that like make it. I don't know if the criticism there was all that constructive. I mean, it's a little constructive. I don't know, but no, but you guys definitely check this out. I was personally a little squeamish. Hour-long video, everything on the end of the death of anime. Ugh. That's just my personal fatigue with these sorts of videos, but it's not like any of those videos. Even for the fact that it's showing off mostly Yamato and the romance trilogy. I just think it's like, okay, you know what you're talking about. You know, there's the tangibility of like, okay, you're not just talking out your ass. Thanks. You know, yeah. Alrighty, it's already an hour. Fuck. Oh no, and I still have 9 videos to talk about with the AniTuber Anthology. One of which I don't have to talk about because the first one is from me on my main channel. Thank you. no, I'm sorry. I'm trying. Yeah, but this is the anthology that NiesGuy coordinated. Pretty last minute. Not last minute. I shouldn't say that. Within 2 weeks, we had to turn these videos around. I'm like, well, okay, which is fair. And I did like the difference with that NiesGuy identifies in this in the beginning video where he says none of us actually had seen the shorts yet. We got which is actually pretty smart because there could have been some infighting with certain titles, I think, with certain entries. But like Nice gave us all the shorts, and then the anthology came out. You know what's funny? I gave him a group of 3 that I was like, maybe these. And when I said the duel, I actually thought I thought it was the Elder. I didn't really look at that deep into the. Nice was like, what shorts do you want? And I'm like, I don't care. And Nice is like, that's what everyone's saying. Please give me some options. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, I don't know. Duel, Toby, Alapocho. But I thought Duel was the Elder. Whatever. Because I was interested in it because the character looked like Qui-Gon Jinn. Anyway, because I like Qui-Gon Jinn. But no, I got the Duel. And, yeah, no. You know, it's a good video. I mean, I can't talk about my own video, I guess. It's weird. But I was happy with making it with it, and also the fact that I actually got some fucking video on my channel. I'm sorry I didn't get the fucking. I just totally dropped the ball on this. Like, I'm gonna upload every other week or something. I don't know. I just feel really disappointed in myself for not getting out there. You know, I still haven't made that AMV that I wanted to make 3 weeks ago, and now I'm kind of lost steam on it. And I had this other essay video that I have the script for. It had this really cool musical motif behind it. But now I just don't feel good about it because it was like, oh, last week I watched this thing. A month ago I watched that thing now. I don't know. It just sucks. But I was happy to make. So I was happy Nice invited me, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll make this thing. And made it fairly quick. Pretty happy with it. Also that I was able to talk more metatextually about it, not so much about the short itself. Not that I was avoiding it or anything. I liked the short. I didn't love it. You know, and I liked it. I was like, I'm going to tell you the things I find interesting. And in the making of the script, the stuff came out of it. But yeah. Anyway, not about my video that I wasn't going to talk about. So the next one was Jack from Under the Scope. Did he edit this video too? I'm interested. I didn't find anything too quirky about the editing in particular. I wasn't sure if Nice did it or not. Let me look at the credits, because he does have the nice little written and produced by Jack Johnson types of... oh, yeah, he did edit it. There we go. Nice. I just had to look at that up again. But, you know, there wasn't anything too particularly quirky about the editing in this one, although I did notice And I think that, but like this ended up seeming to become the case for everybody else, pretty much everybody else. I think I was the only one that stuck to the aspect ratio that the short came in. Everybody else like put their video out in 16:9. And like I was able to tell that from like watching on my phone or whatever. Yeah, I watch all these on my phone, sorry. That that like, oh, because of these little light transitions that Jack would do, those were in 16:9, but it wasn't confined to the same. It was interesting. I don't know. I was going with that, but I think it was like, I think Bonsai Pop mentioned this too. It was like, oh, you know, he got the short end of the stick with like not the most favorited short, but I think, and it didn't sound like Jack like loved the short or anything either, but it was more, I think he really landed it with like, what is the short trying to, why is it like this? And it's like, well, you know, Star Wars doesn't really have this sort of experimentation, and also just like, it is anime in terms of being earnest, and it's you know, saying fuck it, you know, things like that. It's very uplifting kind of earnest type of thing that that Jack has, and his scripting is great. I just love like there's something that he does about his sentence structure with just like the word choice. I can't tell you the specifics of, I'm watching it mute right now, but like the word choices of these, it just, there's something about them that just feels very eloquent and says the right thing in an engaging way. Yeah, no, I just really, I did enjoy this entry. Doesn't, you know, step or do anything like whoa or in, you know, in the same way. And yeah, I'm just happy to see more content because yeah, I'm sorry I didn't watch the video on Kageki Shoujo. Yeah, that's it. That's the name of the show. I'm sorry I didn't watch that one. But yeah, I just really enjoyed that entry. It was good. Again, I can't edit these things anymore. I don't know. But the real interesting, not that Jax wasn't interesting. I'm sorry. that was a little backhanded. No, I'm sorry. No, but like Nice Guy is the editor that, you know, edits a lot of videos and has since been doing a lot more stuff for Viz, which is really exciting and good to see. He had made his own videos a while ago, probably 2 or 3 years ago at this point, like a while ago, of course. And, you know, when doing these anthologies, of course, he'd have his own short and stuff. But he, you know, I'm getting the twins. I'm like, that fair. Yeah, cool. And really, really leaning into the thing. He's like, Trigger is anime is Trigger for me. Although he makes a statement at the beginning. I'm watching the video back now, like mute. And then I could... Maybe this is only because I'm so far deep, like I'm iceberg level with anime and stuff. But he's like, he mentions it's like, might be a little weird to talk about Studio Gainax and when it's a short about Trigger. And I'm like, it's not weird, Nice. It's not weird. It's not weird. It's like, it's pretty obvious. You know, it's like, no, the opposite of weird. I just thought that was funny. That particular scripting thing. And, you know, one thing else I want to mention about the editing with this. Why were some of the clips in full screen? Like, pretty much all of the footage, a lot of the footage you use in this little montage of Gainax titles, a lot of them are in 4:3. But why are some of them with 4:3 with the mirror behind it, that effect? Some of them are like that, and then other ones are in full screen. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's like because you were using you wanted to use particular shots, like the Karikana one, like I think does look good with the mirrored effect behind it because it has that like kind of gradient behind it and it looks good. But then the clip goes on and then it has that duplication thing with, I'm looking at it just right now. I'm sorry I'm being so technical. I don't know. I think this makes sense with Nice and everything. With the two heads and stuff like that. I just thought it was really interesting. Oh my gosh, I just noticed that. The clip transition between the Karikano clip and the Die Buster one. Very good. Very, very good. But yeah, that's what I mean. There was just some of these were in full screen and some of them are in 4:3. I just thought it was a weird inconsistency, personally. You know, as someone who does this. Sorry if it's a bit of a nitpick. I also noticed, I think it seems like you custom made the Promare titles. Like you have like twins. Also, the scripting was pretty clever. With like he's like that was like twins. I think you custom made these. It looks like you did, at least. Because of the Promare little the way that's written, it doesn't look quite like the and I only know this because I did a similar effect on my Gurren Lagann video, and I cheated because I knew it was Evan Minto. There's this guy who I think he worked for Crunchyroll at one point. He made a custom website of like Promare custom text that you can look up. I don't know if it's still there. Maybe it isn't. But at the time, I was able to use that, and I just used that. But it, like, still, the custom, that's nice. That's cool. I like that. It certainly obviously paid more. I obviously took more notice of it than like if you didn't use that. So that's certainly something. Yeah, but like, I did like the earnestness in this video, and like I also really like the note of how restrained Trigger was here, where usually they have all the characters busting their clothes off, and there's shots of the characters busting their clothes off in this short, but they're not naked. So he's like, I'm surprised Disney let him get away with this much, which was a good note to make. I'm sorry if I'm being specific with this short and I'm not being specific with anyone else's short. I apologize. You know, especially with how Nice has not made a video in so long himself, and like narrating and scripting and everything. I just think it was really exciting and noteworthy. I'm happy to see that especially got some other people, including another person who's not uploaded for a little while. Isla covered The Village Bride, and it was very different and surprising because she was very upfront about like, guys, I'm an adult. I can't watch seasonal anime the same way I used to, or make videos like I used to, because she's so caught up with these other videos. I know that Tom Scott made a second channel. I don't know. I haven't subbed to it. I was subbed to his main channel, but like I imagine that but among other things, like she works in broadcast and everything, so I can imagine the work. I feel the same way. I definitely feel the same way with my videos, where I feel like I can do digest still, but it's getting, you know, and then my streams. But I really feel bad about the main content channel, because I always feel like I really want to dedicate a lot of time to it. But I have to work on these captions for Discotheque. Oh, well, it was me, right? Like I'm working a great job and I'm really happy for it. But it's just like, I wish I could do everything. I wish I had all the time in the world and watch a bunch of anime. I think that to me, I'm prioritizing. I'm like, I'm actually gonna watch some anime. I don't want that to be like, I don't want to be like these other guys where it's like, I haven't watched anime in a month. Some of you, you know, I think it's a muscle, you know, in terms of watching anime and stuff. And the agitation that Isla was having with like watching this short, and she's like, I need to get back to work. You know, I get it. But I'm really happy that you still kind of stuck through it, and you also really were up and made that a video about, like, use this kind of as an opportunity to talk about it instead of like, you know, being a dead channel or just like not uploading anything, which is what a lot of people do. I just like that you were really upfront with that sort of thing. Also giving Village Bride all the credit and like attention that it deserves. Not really like you really much was like, I didn't care for it. Sorry, guys. Like you make that upfront, but nowhere does that bleed into the quality of the short itself or demean it or, you know, make it, you know, like it was really remarkable in that way. I really appreciated that. I know, but I get it. With being busy and stuff, but I'm happy that you were able to vent and craft this sort of video and stuff. Wait a minute. Oh my god, the fucking intro. I didn't click on the video this time, but the fucking intro you do with the title card and oh my god, I have to watch it again. Of course, the fucking I'm back thing and the title crawl was fantastic and authentic. But then you do this fucking like the fucking galaxy thing. I'm like, oh my god. How do you do that? Don't tell. I'm sure it'd be a whole thing. But like that could have been probably the most single impressive edit in the whole anthology. I'm looking at the rest of them, like they were well edited in good places and stuff, but that was the single like oh like for me in terms of a visual thing. So kudos, and happy you contributed and had an entry in this. It was great to see you. Of course, Beyond Ghibli with the Return of the Lightsaber with the Ninth Jedi, pretty popular segment. It was interesting you don't have like the same kind of conclusion or credit crawl at the end, and it just kind of quietly ends. But yeah, I think this is just hits all the right notes. It's exactly what you want. I was personally with my short, I was thinking like, oh, I kind of want to do something different. I don't want to just like go the anticipated road curse. Oh, and just Star Wars. I just felt it was obvious, but like not to say this was obvious in the same way, not like in a painful way. I did really like the note that you make about the simplicity turned into complexity of Star Wars and trying to up itself as a spectacle and not so much as a thematic symbol or something that's really personal and meaningful, and that the Ninth Jedi really like leans into while also creating new ideas and new lore and stuff. I just thought it was really thoughtful, talking about Star Wars concretely. Yeah, and then going back into like really almost half of the video, like looking at the time bar and everything, I didn't even notice this when watching it. You really don't start talking about Ninth Jedi until almost 4 minutes into the 7-minute video, which is really great. And it's sort of in a similar, but you bring all that pretense in and bringing Ninth Jedi in, I think was really smart. But it just kind of hits all the right notes, and again, it's sort of in a polish and format that is just really, really simplistic. And I just noticed the fucking little transition you did that's very emblematic of the trilogy of the actual like the wipes that they have in the movies. Nice, really nice. But again, I feel like am I the only one that did the I have to look again, I have to confirm that, but I think I'm the only one that did the 16 by 9, the widescreen thing. Anyway, not that there's anything wrong with that. Yeah, I just really enjoyed this video. I don't know too much. I'm sorry I don't have as many concrete things to say about it in the same way as a lot of some other people's. But again, I just thought it was like, yeah, oh my god, I get it. And that was really, as someone who hasn't seen Ninth Jedi yet, I have only seen up to, I've only seen up to Twins, and I haven't seen the rest of the shorts. So this is all new info for me. Great. I don't know. Yeah, but I just really, simple and clean is the way you're making me feel tonight. In the same way, as I think I've probably talked about the other videos in the same way. It just like does what it needs to do. It's just like, yeah, really solid, really, really polished. I'm running out of breath. I'm talking a lot. Hey, it's Kaze Talks. How this Star Wars anime was inspired by animation. I talked, so Kaze, maybe you'll see this entry. Maybe you'll see me talking about your video in this part. I don't know. Maybe you know. I did talk about your Captain Tsubasa video, which I fucking loved. I really liked, and the thing that was the biggest takeaway with that, and it actually bleeds into this video too, because you use Captain Tsubasa like in the video. But your strengths that you're finding here is definitely in your delivery, and in the emphasis of ideas that just feels like really soupy and just like really like energizing and motivating, inspiration type of thing. Building on top of it, really building this sort of momentum, really ends on an incredibly strong note. I really liked the different pieces you're in, how those were coalescing together. It was like Astro Boy, but also Pinocchio, but also Fantasia, which was a pretty surprising choice. I think it was a really inspired choice. And then Shonen, with Masako Nozawa voicing the main robot who voices Goku. Although you do mention in that part that Astro Boy is the first shonen. That's it's considered the first shonen, is what you said in the video. That's news to me. Not like you're in trouble or anything. Like you come to the class, in front of the class. No. I don't know what it is about Astro Boy, guys. I keep finding these things. I'm not even like a fucking Astro Boy stan. I haven't seen any of the fucking Astro. I don't know what it is, but people keep making these really big claims about it that I don't know where are coming from, or they're getting the date wrong or something. Okay. Yes, it's in a shonen magazine. Is it the first shonen? I don't think so. I mean, well, it's the first like magazine, like the first like manga. I can't even say that for sure. Like the first. The thing is, the frustrating thing you say here is the first shonen. First shonen what? First shonen anime? First shonen manga? Because there's a lot of complexities to that. If you say the first shonen manga, I'm not a manga guy. That sounds like a stretch. That sounds really like there's a lot of things came out around Astro Boy's time. A lot of authors were active. What defines shonen in the same way? Where did those origins come from? To my knowledge, I was under the impression that shonen mostly came from sports, and that's where it was like a lot of it was kind of starting from, where a lot of the roots and a lot of the tropes come from. And Astro Boy's not a sport, but also first shonen anime. It's hard for me to accept that in the same way. I get where you're coming from. I totally get the connection, and I think that the actual use of that was the device where you're leading to Masako Nozawa and the idea of Toby being on this adventure and growing up and things. Yes, I get it. I see it. I just like the statement, Astro Boy is considered one of the first shonen, widely considered one of the first shonen. I don't know where that, maybe you have a source. I was like, source, please. Like that was one of the things I was just like, I first I had heard of that personally. But if it's true, then okay, cool. But yeah, that was something I couldn't fully get behind. I was like, wait, what? But no, like the rest, sorry if I'm lingering on that one point. It was just sort of thing that really stuck out to me. The other thing that stuck out was it's an editing thing. I get why, again, but there was a lot of chapter marks, and there was like a sound effect and the visual title card and stuff like that, and it feels like you cut momentum off completely every single time you did that. Again, I think your delivery is so strong and palpable and infectious and and like stirring in such a way that it doesn't actually kill the momentum all that much, but it just feels like the video starts and stops every time, and it just kind of like it feels like it's a different paragraph. It doesn't. The paragraphs don't flow into each other in the same way I think they could have. It does coalesce together, and they all meld together into a core idea that I think really lands it. That is, again, a really great ending to the video. But I think throughout the video, there was something that was just like, oh, and this other point, that feels kind of separate. And this point, that feels kind of separate. And a lot of that was mostly stemming from that editing choice of just like stopping the music and having this little click sound and I don't know. There's something about it that was just sort of starting and stopping with the flow of the video. There's something that I noticed when it came to the title card. Obviously, all of us have made chapter marks and things for our videos before, and there was something about that it was something I wanted to talk about. I was like, I don't know, interesting. I don't know. It's not like a bad choice, right? It's more like I'm noticing it does this effect. I'm noticing that this is what happens when you do that, personally. But no, I mean, this is, one of the stronger shorts in the anthology. And obviously, it's saying a lot because a lot of us were, But again, the way you're tying into like wanting to do this yourself and like you're inspired by the rest of us in this anthology, and you use that as a way to, by the way, this is an anthology. You know what I mean? I was like, oh my God, that's so smart. And again, the core ideas with like all the different influences and bringing something inspiring, which is something really strong, and you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. I think you're getting a lot better and better with your stuff. Not that your stuff was bad. Again, none of your stuff was bad before. I just think it's getting. I think it seems like you're really finding your stride. I think it's really great. And Bonsai Pop's the Elder short mastery. The big thing to take away from that, well, it's the longest video, which I understand from their perspective because they're super into like SEO and they know what they're doing, and I talked about that with their podcast. But I think they did the longest video because they're like, look guys, a 5-minute video, that's gonna kill our channel. They don't do as well. I don't know. That seems like it to me. I'm not like I'm not like I don't. I'm not very good at it. That's the idea. I'm not very good at it. Oh no. But what was I gonna say? But like the 15-minute I think it seemed like out of necessity, but it doesn't feel like 15 minutes. That's the good thing. The real thing is that Mike in particular, and I know it's Mike because he says as much, but also the podcast where they talk a lot about Star Wars. He's into it. He's not just like a Star Wars fan. He's read the comics. He's read the extended universe before the sequel trilogy came out. He's in. It's like, and he can, he really sells that as much in the video, but he also backs it up with the way he's talking about BBY and where this fits in the timeline, and like this is so Star Wars, and like the you getting it, and the lore, and it was something else. It really refreshing in the grand scheme where all of us are just more like anime fan. Star Wars is cool. I'm certainly that way. But like, gosh, oh my gosh, like that was really the value from this that I took from this video, is just your passion for Star. Like I feel like I don't know if you're gonna, not like I'm saying like you should do this, but I'm saying if you made a Star Wars channel, you could probably get a lot out of that. You could probably survive on that. Not like survive, I don't know about that per se, but like I'm saying you'd be good at it. You seem like you someone who actually knows what he's talking about in such a way that's like and not like I'm a big Star Wars fan. More like, yeah, I know Star Wars. the quiet confidence. I was like, yeah, I know. It's really intimidating almost. I don't know. I just really admire it. It's really cool, and that was really carrying through this whole short for me. Through this video, got a lot of that value out of it personally. Yeah, that's definitely worth just for that alone. Just loved that, and I'm sure that's the strength of it. I'm sure you are. I'm sorry if that's not like super additive or constructive or something. Maybe it's nice to hear, but you're like, I know. So I apologize in that aspect. Although it was funny you were talking about in the podcast very briefly of like the challenge of making that video, because yeah, I could tell the amount of the not much to work with on a visual level, like in terms of interesting clips to use and having to reuse a lot of clips. I get it. And I could definitely feel that with this short, especially if you're going for a 15-minute video. Of course you're gonna run into that. Especially if you're not trying to talk about Visions as a whole, which I did appreciate as well. Yeah, and I just thought it was really well done. Evanito, Disney created a Star Wars adult furry anime. Really going for that SEO. The title and stuff. No, so I don't know if it is inside baseball or if he would want me to mention this, but like he was worried about like about putting a video out on the same caliber as some of us. I told him like, no, I think you're gonna be very refreshing, and I already kind of know what kind of video you're gonna make, which it ends up being what's the case. It's very casual. It's off script. It's a lot more engaging with the audience. It really feels a lot more that he's talking to his audience and you, the viewer, a lot more than and I'm like, no wonder he's gained so much really great success. He's really able to engage and capture an audience's attention. I think he's doing really well at that. And the jokes that he's putting in here that just feel very like casual it's off scripted, but he's just becoming he's a very naturally funny person, which I can imagine is being developed a lot on Twitch, because you kind of have to be constantly performing in that way and constant kind of zingers and stuff, and not in a cloying way, in a way that just feels like really like casual and fun, talking with buds and stuff and joking with like I'm a furry and things like that. While also giving the series its fair respect and stuff, and it was like he does mention the studio and certain things, but he's not like going with some of the approach that some of us did in terms of the citing the staff and stuff, like the metatextual aspects. He's really meeting the anime where it is, and I think he's talking about it as a casual fan, as not just a casual Star Wars fan, but as a casual anime fan. I'm sorry if that's like that's backhanded or something. No, but I think that's actually really valuable, because all of us, we're taking it super seriously. And I'm like, I shouldn't say that as a way that you're not taking this seriously. I mean, you're on script. I don't want to make that, because everyone can make their own kind of videos and stuff. I don't want to judge one way or the other, but we're like being really serious and like gravitas. It's like beyond Ghibli or myself or who else do I call out? I think all of us in our own way, we have this. It's not serious. It's gravitas. That was the word. I was thinking about it as I was watching your video. I'm like, how am I going to word that? Serious. I shouldn't say that, because that's kind of disrespectful. But I said it anyway. Fuck me. No, but I meant gravitas. Really, that was the word I was thinking of. Where we really have the reverence for Star Wars and this short and the things like that. Where he's like, oh, it's a bunny. It's like Japanese. I don't know, the kind of the casual, like, it's really fun. It's just really fresh. It's just like a fun video to watch, you know? It's the shortest one as well. And he's like, I'm stretching for time, you know, and I'm trying to make 5 minutes. You know, something like that. I get the viewpoint, but like, you really do kind of bring your perspective, which is in itself very successful for YouTube, and it appeals and attracts an audience. We can't knock that, you know, like, no, you literally can't. I think it was really great to have your perspective in that, because then otherwise it's just a bunch of stuffy essayists. Not that, I mean, not derogatory to the rest of us or anything. You know what I mean, though? All of us have very similar kind of content, and we're going to go for a similar feel. But you're tapping into something that I think was really fun and infectious, and something I would want to make, honestly, that I just feel, I don't know, I'm just not wired that same way. I'm not experienced. And you're experienced, right? Because, I mean, you've been growing this sort of audience and finding different avenues and things. I don't know. I just think it's great. I want to encourage you to make this sort of stuff. I know you don't talk about anime as often these days, because I know it's not as, like, it doesn't get the clicks or whatever. Like, I get it. It doesn't. I'm sorry. I understand. No, but I just think paving this path and just like continuing to foster your audience and having fun, it's just like, it's great. I just love seeing it, dude. And I think you're welcome in this sort of community in the same way. And don't feel too bad that you're not making too many anime videos these days or whatever, because I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I encourage you this video is great. I really liked it. And the last short was some replay value, Akakiri, and you know, I'm happy that I don't know if happy is the right word. I guess I'm interested. I don't know what to say. I had a positive emotion towards replay not really pulling any of his like particular things, like focus on the music, focus on this, focus on a particular aspect, or a particular literary like the kind of videos I think he makes are a lot more hyper focused and thinking about particular things. I just felt that this was a lot more overview type of thing, and citing particular aspects you really liked and appreciated. It's just something that flowed really well. It's not as dense as your other videos, is what I think I would word it as. I don't know what it was. There was just something about it like not like it's just for me personally. There's something with your videos that just feel very thick. There's just something that's like, it's a lot to this, and you're bringing a lot forward. It's similar to Clear and Sweet, actually, where there's just a lot of information and a lot of things going in. But I just think there was just something, I'd really like to focus on I'm just skimming through the video at this point, kind of like focusing on the, you know, going beat by beat and kind of overview of it, but also like specific aspects. And I don't know, it didn't have as much of and all the mention of music and things. I don't know, I think it just bounced a lot in places to where it was constantly keeping attention, and it didn't feel like going super, super deep on anything. And that's not as a derogatory or anything. I don't know if this, I'm sorry if this isn't very helpful. I don't know. But like, I just really appreciated it. And I hadn't heard very many good things about this short. A lot of people were like, oh, the kind of a downer note, or people didn't like as vibe with this one or something. But I think you really sold it fantastically. And talked about its relevance with Star Wars, of course, which is important. I don't know, there's just something, and also the Kurosawa stuff, that was also very astute of you. I don't know, I just think it flowed really well, moving a lot of different topics without like dwelling on something too hard or something, and it just felt very refreshing and engaging. I thought it was a really strong short. I'm sorry I don't have anything too much of specifics or as elaborate as the other shorts or as I talked about them or anything. But I just thought it was really sharp and yeah, I don't know. It's just really effective. I just really enjoyed it. Yeah. Anyway, I don't have too much else. Again, it's a. I don't know. Yeah. I hope there was something there. I feel a little bad, but no. I did really enjoy the short. I just think it was really smart. Good observations. Plenty different. It didn't focus on too many things. I don't know. I just really enjoyed it. It was good. Hour and a half. Again. The hell is it with the fucking digest? Fuck me. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this edition of AniTube Digest. Thank you very much for watching. You have a good week. Sorry I was a little late this time. I swear I'll be back on a regular schedule. I hope. Can't believe in absolutes. Anyway, have a good week. Yo, peace.